What's up, y'all? It's your boy Dark Sage back with another video. And tonight we finna be doing What If Deku is the Reincarnation of Pain, Part 2. But before we get into the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Because, it'll help young dude out. And let me know what y'all want next. Because, y'all opinion matters. But, let's get into the video. So, once Deku basically destroys the entire battlefield, Nezu is like, "You damn kid, do you know how long it took me to set that up? Now I have to redo it." And Deku would kind of laugh at this and he'd say, "Well, Mouseman, you're kind of funny. So I'll let you in on a little secret. I don't have a quirk. I have power. And with this power, I will use it to make the world feel pain." And Deku would walk off. And Nez would be sitting there and he'd say, "Make the world feel pain? What does he mean?" And once Deku fucking goes home, his parents would run up to him and say, "You damn quirkless reject, why are you here?" And Deku would say, "I'm not quirkless. Obviously I have power." And they would scoff at this. And Hiyashi would go to punch Deku because, he's a dick. And Deku would catch his punch. And once he does this, he'd start squeezing Hiyashi's fist, breaking it in the process. And Hiyashi would scream in pain. And this is when Inko would end up sending a bunch of knives at Deku. And Deku, he'd say, "Almighty push." And they would all go flying back at Inko. And one of the knives would end up slitting Inko's throat. And Inko would die on contact. And this would piss Hiyashi off. And so he'd start punching and punching and punching Deku. But Deku would say, "You're too weak." And he'd say, "Chidori." Know what? Yeah, I'm gonna give him Rasengan and Chidori. Just cause. He'd weave hand signs in one hand. And he'd say, "Chidori." And he'd stab Hiyashi right through his chest. And when he does this, Izumi would run in because they rescheduled the exam. And she would see her father be killed. And she would scream. And all the other people living in the apartment would run up to see Deku stab Hiyashi. And they would all try to gang up on him. But Deku would just body flicker away. And so we're going to have a time skip about, 10 months. Because, 10 months training period. Yeah, 10 months training period. Deku would know that he got in because Nezu told him. And Deku has been laying low because the cops have been looking for him. And Deku would be thinking to himself, "Why did this have to happen to me? If only they didn't reject me. Like I didn't have power. I had power this whole time. They just couldn't come to see that." And he would be walking. And this is when he would bump into a girl his age. And this girl would happen to be the reincarnation of Konan. And Deku would look at her and he'd fall in love. He'd be like, who are you?" And the girl would say, "Hi, my name is Nico." And Deku would say, "Nice to meet you, Nico. My name is Izuku Midoriya." And they would shake hands, and Deku would say, I'm sorry I bumped into you." And Nico would say, "Yeah, I wasn't really watching where I was going." And she would say, I'm new around here. You know any good places to go eat?" And Deku would say, yeah, you want to come with me? And Pain in Deku's mind is basically smiling. And he says, well, Konan is here. And it appears she seemed to destroy Deku's tough guy persona. And so Deku would go with Konan to get something to eat. And they would really hit it off. And so Deku would keep seeing Konan for, let's say, 2 months. And in this time, Konan and Deku, they've grown pretty close. And Konan would say, Deku, where are your parents? And Deku would say, to tell you the truth, I killed them. And Konan would wince at this. She'd say, you killed your parents? How could you? And Deku would say, they tried to kill me because I was quirkless at first. Matter of fact, I still am. The only reason I am alive till this day is because I am the reincarnation of Pain. And her hearing the name Pain would trigger an alarm in her head. And she'd say, wait, you're the reincarnation of Pain? And Deku would say, yeah, what's it to you? And Nico would say, I am the reincarnation of Konan. And Deku would say, 1 second. And he'd say, Pain, who is Konan? And Pain would say, she's an old friend of mine. Be nice to her, okay? And Deku agrees to this. And so, once he comes back out of his little daydream of such, Nico would say, well then, let's see how strong you are, shall we? And she would rush at him. And she'd say, paper style. Paper, fucking, what jutsu does she have? Paper style. Paper spear jutsu, yeah. And she would send a bunch of spears into Deku's head. And Deku would dodge all of them. And he'd say, fire style, fireball jutsu. And he'd send a huge fireball at Konan. Konan would dodge this and kick Deku in the stomach. Deku would go flying. And he would land on the ground. And they would fucking form a small crater. Deku would get up. And he would rush at Nico. And he punches Nico in the stomach. And kicks her in the face. But once he does this, Nico attaches a paper bomb to his leg. And it would go off. And Deku would be caught in a big explosion. And once he gets up, Deku would say, you're good. But then, Deku would form all of his piercings. And Nico would see this. And she would say, wait, what is this? And his eyes would go purple. And Deku would say, it's over. Universal pull. And he would pull Nico close to him, grab her by the neck. And he would form a chakra rod. And he'd say, if you don't want to die here, give up. And Konan says, fuck. You know what, fuck it. I'm just going to call it Konan. Konan says, seems like you're stronger than me. I give up. And Deku would drop her and says, wow, Konan, you're really strong. And Konan would look at Deku and say, wow, he's grown over this year. He used to be so frail. And he was weaker. His reincarnation is really strong. How did he get this power? And Deku, sensing her thoughts, would say, he trained me. Yahiko, or Pain, as I call him. trained me so much to the point where I thought he was going to kill me. But I survived, and now I have power so immense that anybody who stands in my way will feel pain. And Conan would laugh at this, and she'd say, well then, Mr. Pain, did you ever hear of a school called UA? And Deku says, yeah, I did. And I'm actually enrolled. And she says, well, I got in on recommendation. And Deku would say, wait, what? Recommendation? Who recommended you? And she says, well, don't worry about that. Just know, I got in on recommendation. And Deku would scoff at this and say, I could have got in on recommendation too if I wanted to. And Conan would laugh at this. Time skip 2 days. And Deku and Conan, they're walking together. And they would see a man. This man would have no face and a suit on. And he would walk up to them. And he would say, look at the lovely couple. I'm here to take one of you. And he grabs, not Yaiko, he grabs Conan. And Deku would say, you messed up. Almighty push. And the man would go flying. And then Deku would say, universal pull. And then he would summon a chakra rod and cut the man's head off. And this man would happen to be All For One. But the man didn't die. Or All For One didn't die. He simply leaped into a liquid and slithered away. And Deku was like, the fuck was that? And Conan would say, All For One. Damn it. He was choking me. I don't know what he did, but I feel weird. And Deku would say, are you good? Do you actually have a quirk? And Conan would say no, so I don't know what he did. And Conan would pass out. And Deku would take her to his apartment. Shit. Because the cops have calmed down. Because they just gave up on finding that nigga. And Deku basically lets her stay there until it's time to go to UA. And so fast forward a day. And it's going to be their first day of school. And fucking Izumi has been transferred to a foster home. And she was adopted by Bakugo's family. And so once Deku gets there, Izumi rushes him because she knows it was Deku. Well, yeah, everybody knows shit. Deku, she rushes Deku and says, you killed my mother and my father. I'm going to destroy you. And she forms a huge fire blast. And Deku would negate this attack. And he would spin and kick this bitch in the face. And she would go flying. And Eraserhead would see this and he'd be like, damn. Who hurt you? Shit. Take your seats. Take your seats. And he would send a call to Recovery Girl and he'd say, yeah, come get this little girl over here. Boy just rocked her shit. And Recovery Girl would come in and she'd see Izumi on the ground bleeding from her lips. And she'd say, damn, busted lips and a broken jaw. Imagine having that. And she would kiss Izumi. And Izumi would get up and be like, what the hell happened? And hold on, y'all. Yeah, but as I was saying, fucking Recovery Girl would heal Izumi, and Izumi would say, "What the hell happened?" And she would see Deku sitting down, and Deku would say, "I rocked your shit. That's what happened." And Izumi would get frustrated, and she'd just run at Deku, but Eraserhead would send his scarf at Izumi and tie her down. And he'd say, "Damn, I can continue my class. Shit, annoying ass bitch." And he'd be like, "Alright, y'all, today we finna have this quirk assessment test." And everybody would be like, "Quirk assessment? Wait, we already went through that. We just did a test the other day." And Aizawa would say, "I don't give not one fucks, not two fucks, not three fucks about any of y'all or anything y'all do. I'm trying to teach so I could go to sleep. Shit. Now, put these on, go outside so we can get this shit over with." And everybody would be like, "Damn, okay, we sorry. Shit." And they would go outside, and Aizawa would say, "Oh, I forgot to mention, whoever gets last will be expelled." And so Deku goes first because, like, yeah, he destroyed the hell. And he would lob the ball, 2,000 meters. Nah, he used, 2,000 meters without his power. And everybody would be like, "He said don't use your quirk." And Deku would say, "I didn't. If you want me to, I will, though." And he throws the ball up and he says, "Almighty push." And that will go flying. Matter of fact, it's gone in space, out of there. And everybody would be like, "Damn, how did he do that?" And Izumi and Bakugo would both scoff at this. They'd be like, "Damn, Deku." And Bakugo would already be pissed off because he beat the shit out of Izumi. And he'd say, "I'll get him after school." And so, once they basically go through the quirk assessment, who do I want to? Mineta. I'm sorry, Mineta. It just has to always be you. So Mineta gets booted out of that hut, and they basically end the day. So Deku is basically walking, and he sees Conan, and Deku would say, "Conan, why aren't you in class 1A?" And Conan would say, "Well, I already know I'm strong enough to be a hero. I just wanted to make things for you guys. So I chose the support group." And so Deku would agree to this. And he would say, "Well then, I guess good luck with your shit." And she'd be like, "Yeah, thanks. But I'd say good luck too, but it looks like you're finna have some pretty bad luck." And Deku would say, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And she'd say, "Turn around." And Deku would turn around to see Bakugo finna explode his shit. And Deku would weave the explosion, punch Bakugo in his stomach, punch him in the face, knee him in the nose, and then grab him and body slam him. And then he just keep punching Bakugo until Bakugo's jaw is completely broken. And he'd say, "Wow, you were really about to attack me while I wasn't looking. How weak." He would spit on Bakugo, and they would walk away. And I'm gonna have to end it off here because, like, yeah, I know this part wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, but tomorrow, I swear to God, part 3 will be a fucking banger. But bye.